Hey, welcome back everybody. Welcome to my channel. I'm Use Jester. My name is Junior. And today what we're going to do is experiment and see if this idea of mine is going to work. This is a new modified customized base that I'm making for the Tomy 1/350th scale USS Enterprise NCC 1701. So this, let me tell you the items I bought from a local Home Depot. This is a 1 foot by 1 foot. Let me see. Is it a 16 gauge or 22 gauge? 16 gauge sheet metal, and then these are 3/8 bolts that are 5 inches long. So obviously I had to buy 3/8 nuts to go with this one. And I just drilled using a titanium drill. I started with the smallest bit, and then I gradually worked myself up to the 3/8 bit. So it's basically just screwed in there, as you can see. And then I got these smaller bolts that I'm probably just gonna glue on the corner. You don't need to do anything heavy because that's just to offset the raised bolt that's underneath the new sheet. So you don't need to really secure that. You just need it as basically spacers. And then I got another 2 more 3/8 bolts over here. That's basically what's gonna. So let me say this: I've already test fitted it to the Enterprise, the Tomy Enterprise. It's slightly small. That there's wiggle room. I don't know. That's what the part I'm not sure about. So anyway, inside the Tomy 1/350 scale, inside the hole, inside the model, there is going to be a cap that stops this. That's basically what they used for the stand. However, upon inspection, I noticed that the cap seems to be constructed where it's molded so it's a flat, and then the cap that goes in, and that's made in plastic, not die cast. So that's the only thing that makes me kind of leery in using the cap itself as a stopgap for these bolts, right? Because we don't know how it's secured on the inside, whether it's just slots or anything. If it's just slots or just small screws, that might not be strong enough to hold the weight of the model itself. So the way the stand is constructed is you have this big piece over here, but it has that big, what would you call it? Like a lip that basically hugs the underneath of the ship. So basically the weight of the ship is not really resting on those two caps, but more towards that lip that hugs the ship, right? So what I've done is these bolts might be is the one. So even though it's going to be holding on those two caps, these bolts are the one that's really going to be holding the weight of the ship, but it's too small, so I just bought these small washers. I could make it bigger, but it'll be more prominent on the hull of the ship because it's not. This is flat and the hull is curved. So, and that's another part I'm not entirely sure of. So you're thinking this is like ugly, right? So what I'm going to do is first I'm gonna paint it matte black. So it's gonna be black, and then I bought Muso black paint. Well, if you haven't heard of Muso black paint, I believe it's from a Japanese company, and it is almost absolutely black or true black. It does not reflect light. It absorbs light. So you won't even see anything. Like literally when you look at something, you know there's something wrong because it's like a void that's occurring. I don't know if it's gonna work, but that's my idea. And now that's how I constructed it. So let me grab the Enterprise and test fit it. These are lower than they need to be. So I'm gonna have it resting on the cap itself, and then I'll slowly adjust the height of this one so it goes up and slightly raises it. So I'll be right back. All right, so I've currently have the Enterprise, oops, One of the corner came off. Oh, this is heavy, yeah. All right, okay. So, as I suspected, because of that looseness, it is, as you can see, moves like that. But I also know that I've loosened it in here, so I gotta tighten it up so it's actually carrying the weight through the bolt and not through the end cap. And I want to see if that will eliminate the wobbliness. It is still wobbly, so I'm gonna have to figure out how to make that a little bit tight. But if it's not moving, it's pretty tight as it is. And this is metal, so I know it's gonna be sturdy enough. It's not moving. It's not moving through the rod. It's basically because it is a slightly loose. See? So I'm gonna have to figure out how to make that just a little bit tight. It's like millimeters a little too thin. I might decide to get a different one instead of 3/8. That's not gonna be an issue. What else did I want to point out? Oh yes, give me 1 second. Okay, for those of you who might be wondering, is the bolt that's connecting the saucer to the secondary hole secure? Is it drooping? Is it moving? Here's my answer to that, right? So when I constructed this rod, this plastic rod that's basically just sitting there, this is almost exactly to the height. It's like millimeter differences to the point where I used this tape over here to make sure I'm not causing any paint rub. Notice how it's no longer aligned. Look at how much lip this thing has. Obviously, when I did this, this was perfectly to the rod. There's no overhang like that. What I did was I cut up a bunch of tape, taped it in there, and then I cut around it so it's perfectly even. But look, why did the tape move off of the rod? What caused that? It's not moving. I mean, like when I put this on, it's stationary. I'm not moving it over and over and over. It's been like that for how long have I had it? 3 or 4 days. And for some reason, there was enough of weight going in there that it started to slowly move that tape forward. So, is it drooping? Is it slowly drooping? I don't know. I don't know if it's moving or is it a cause for concern. All I know is that this thing is starting to move over and over, so that I know there's pressure that's being put in there that's causing it to move. So just keep that in mind. If you guys think that there is no movement on this saucer, there is. We're just not seeing it. And see, okay, so that's how. No, that's not even it. But see how I'm able to move that by applying pressure to it. That's basically what's happening. Some sort of pressure is being applied to this to the point where it's moving the tape. And this rod is not higher than the Enterprise or the Space. This one of the reasons why I have so much of this. I have so much layers on this rod is because it's actually kind of loose. When I just use the rod itself, it's just I can easily slide it in. By putting in the tape, that's what shaves off the inches so that I can use it as a stand and as a to avoid paint rub anyway. So I'm gonna paint this, spray paint this, and I'm gonna put in the Muso black. All right, guys. So I painted matte black just using the spray paint. I haven't done the Muso black yet. I've decided to apply heat shrinks to the screw to make the diameter of the bolt a little bit bigger because, like I said, it was just a smidge too small for the hole, so it wobbles. So now I'm gonna test it. But when I did this heat shrink, I didn't completely heat it up I just did it enough so that it has a grip on the actual threads of the nut. That way, if it's too loose or too tight, I could heat it up again and make that heat shrink hug it a little bit more and see if that fixes it. And if it's still loose, I'll heat it up and then I'll apply another layer of heat shrink to widen this area a little bit more. So let me test it really quick and I'll be right back. And what do you know, guys? It now fits perfectly. Like perfect. Let me just tighten this one bolt really quickly. Watch, no wobble whatsoever as before it was tipping. It still has the wobbliness that it contained with the original stand, but look at that. That's perfect. Now I have another idea of this. So if you guys have this, you'll notice this thing is curved and all that stuff. I have another idea to copy this. I'm gonna make a mold of this shape, and then I'll cast like a resin plastic, make it a little bit thick. It's not really there for support, but more I don't know if that's even necessary at this point, but I'll do it anyway. But let me paint this Muso black and I'll show you what it looks like. It won't have the idea that I have of doing this. I'll make that into another video because that's gonna be a while. But let me paint this Muso black and you'll see the difference once this is done. Yeah. So there it is, guys. That's now the Muso black. It's not as black as I had hoped it would be. It looks kind of dark or black in the video, but from what I can see, it still needs to be. From the videos I've seen of Muso black, it's supposed to be like a void, and it's not quite that much of a void. I can still see edges of the shadow here darker than the actual Muso black, so you know, it is what it is. This is only with the second coat of paint. They said it's supposed to be 4 coats of paint, and airbrush is better, so I don't know. Maybe I'll do an airbrush later on. But as it is, I think, as you can see, once I had the background with me, I was going to wait until I showed this with the background so you guys can see, but that's not coming for another 2 weeks. And I wanna post the video and you guys can see for yourself if it's worth it or not. The plate was $20. I think all in all, my expenses for this base was like $30. And it's really, really easy to do. All you need, I mean, if you know how to use a drill, then then you pretty much know how to use a drill and you know how to do this base. It's not that big of a deal. And then the 4 screws underneath that to keep it even, I just glued it with hot glue or super glue. That's all it needed because it's not gonna, the weight itself is gonna keep it down. I might still do the rod at the very tip of the saucer, using the same thing that I did before with a click rod, but this time I will paint it Muso black again. The only reason I'm kind of hesitating on that is because this is going to be raised on a 5-foot platform, so that black on the rod might actually show on the saucer tip. I'm not sure yet, so I'll decide on that. But yeah, if you guys I hope this helped you guys out if you are making a decision. I think this is sturdy. It is wobbly when you're moving it, but no more as wobbly as the original stand. And I feel like this is more stronger because this is all metal compared to the one on the stand where it's basically 3 small screws holding thin plastic. I think this is more sturdier than that will ever be. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope this taught you something, and I hope you can, if you feel like doing it, I hope it helps you guys out. Okay, have a nice day. Bye.